Good morning, you guys, and welcome to Real Talk with Tamara. As you guys come into the room, please do hit the like button. Also, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I hope that you guys are doing okay. I know that I am. I always express the importance of hitting the like button because the like button helps to keep the video in the algorithm. So make sure you guys please like, share, subscribe, comment, and all of those great things. Okay. You guys, I will be back doing lives as soon as some things are finished. Um, I ordered a new computer, and now I'm having some stuff done. Um, anyways, we'll probably Anyways, guys, I wanted to talk about the streets are dead. Okay, the streets are dead. Gucci Mane performed. Okay, and ATL went wild. Okay, this right here, I feel like it should be a lesson. All right, to hold on, I'm trying to pull it up right now. If you'll give me just a moment, okay. Um, Yeah, Gucci Mane performed. It said Gucci Mane hits Atlanta stage for the first time since Poohshiesty allegations. It was packed. The crowd went wild when he came out. So, I mean, that street stuff is dead. Okay, Gucci Mane is in his 40s. Okay, he's a father, a husband, a businessman. All that crap, that crash out mess, they leave that to the old fools, okay, and the young fools who really don't have anything to lose or just stupid enough to trick themselves out of their positions. And that's exactly what Pooh Shiesty did. Now, who's to say? Okay, Pooh Shiesty may get a slap on the wrist for this. Who knows? But one thing we do know, Gucci Mane ain't worried, and it ain't slowing down his um it's not slowing down his money at all. Okay. As a matter of fact, it took his money up because when that happened with Pooh Shiesty, um, that FDO, I mean, it took Pooh Shiesty's music up, and I'm sure Gucci, he profited heavily off of that, right? So, I mean, I think this should be a lesson, okay? That this stuff, as far as this street stuff, these folks so hard, getting so hard on these dudes, and these girls out here, that if you got just a small thing going for yourself, even if you got plans of getting something going for yourself, you got to be a damn fool to be out here trying to live by a street code that I feel like the authorities are working hard, especially these dudes that's got something going for themselves. uh they're making them weigh the options. Okay, they are making them weigh the options, and a lot of them is stick to the street code, end up dead, end up doing 20, 15, 20, 30 years in jail. Oh shit, just make my money. If I need to make a report, I do that. F all the other stuff. And that's what they choose. And only damn fools who ain't got nothing is talking about living by a street code. And see, that's what these folks need to understand. I'm gonna tell you something. This right here is proof to those who still, gas up these young dudes and these old ass fools that ain't got nothing to lose. um all that other stuff it means nothing. Okay, it absolutely means nothing because that crowd is out there. That crowd is out there, and they singing his songs word for word. Gucci shoulders, uh up straight. Okay, Gucci doing his thing. Gucci couldn't care less about what broke folks saying. Okay, that tries to shame him, or people that's being watched by the FBI anyways, and label is has a negative connotation attached to it for trying to take out other CEOs and sending out young dudes and hiring young dudes to be hitman and messing their lives up. He could care less. His label ain't got that attached to it. Okay. And so I'm glad, that Gucci out there doing this thing and ain't responding to not now naysayer. What all he do is, this is how he respond. He go and he go pack out them concerts. Okay, he go pack out them concerts and have his videographers showing crowds of thousands and thousands rapping verbatim to his songs. Okay, that's how he respond. And you leave the broke haters to try and attach a negative connotation to his name, which is spelling miserably. Okay, and so like I said, Poohshiesty is from Memphis, and I've been hearing a lot of vloggers, talk about Memphis, and I can't, at this point, I can't be mad, okay, because there are a lot of crash outs in Memphis, and it's so sad because there's so much talent, but there's a lot of jealousy in Memphis, and it has lingered on for a long time. It is, if I can't have your talent, if I can't have what you worked hard for, I'm gonna kill you. Okay, and then I'm gonna try and maybe I can be the star, but that's not how it works because God is not going to allow it to work like that. And I think that's why now you see Yo Gotti. I was looking at Yo Gotti um, and people say, why you always bringing up Yo Gotti? His name always coming up in shit. I mean, his name came up in the Dolph situation. His name came up in the Gucci situation as it relates to Pooh Shiesty. I mean, he putting his name and stuff. Okay, he got his name and stuff that even, and you could tell the elites ain't messing with him like that because his name would not have, and his label would not have such a negative connotation attached to it if they was messing with him like that, because they tend to try to protect what is valuable to them, and obviously he ain't. Okay, but I was looking at Yo Gotti you know for his birthday, and he was there with his mom and all of that, and he seemed to have been getting emotional. Okay, that's the first time that anybody has ever seen some type of emotion, and I wonder if Yo Gotti, because he's getting older, I wonder if he's looking at this, and I'm pretty sure he did a long time ago once he realized that he was not going to go unnoticed as it relates to a lot of this stuff, but maybe he didn't learn because he did the exact same thing with Gucci Mane, right? But everything that he tries to do uh, is failing miserably. He's not going to be able to do what he did to Young Dolph for all those many years. He tried the exact same thing with Gucci Mane with another group of crash dummies. And the only thing about it is, I believe he was hoping that they would take Gucci out, but Pooh Shiesty told him, don't kill him, which means they must have been given an order to kill him. And Pooh Shiesty had to say, don't kill him. Okay, so they must have been given an order. And I'm pretty sure once he realized that it was not going to go smooth and his name came up in this, I'm sure he's thinking about all of that stuff, you know. And maybe he's starting to realize now that it's just, is it worth it? Okay, because you could be a lonely person with just money and fame. It's not hitting like he thought it would, right? It's not hitting like he thought it would. And Gucci's still selling out crowds, okay? And so I hate Pooh did this. As I always say, somebody who had the world at his feet. Pooh Shiesty had the world at his feet, right? And so, like I said, the streets is dead. These folks seeing that, the feds love to come and snatch up. I've told y'all when I got on here 5-6 years ago, 4 or 5 6 years ago, they always drain the swamp. And draining the swamp is um, look to who's got the money, because that's where everything is coming from. They look to get the funders. Okay, the feds have. It's always been like that, and they go, "We're gonna drain the swamp." And um, I do believe once they get a real strong pipeline to Gotti, okay, I think they got a hook. Okay, they trying. It's almost like dwelling. What is it called? Dwelling or whatever you call it. Okay, once they can hook a real strong pipeline, and believe me, once you stop feeding folks, them tips start to come in. They gonna drain him. Okay, people may get by, but they never get away because the streets are just absolutely dead. These folks that's caping for your God, and now it's because some kind of way he's still feeding them. And I think it's a darn shame when you have grown men that have no talent or nothing, that look for other men to feed them, and they're willing to be what's the word that I'm looking for? Uh, I don't know. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for right now, but they're willing to be clones. Okay, um, instead of building their own wealth and generating ideas for themselves and just building from that. But instead they'll go around and try and uphold a man who is obviously wrong. Yo gotta help to tear our city up. Okay, and he's always had those types of dudes around him, grown men. Okay, I'm sure that basically he's son. Okay, as they say in New York. He's signing, okay? But they'll do anything for some corn. I gotta eat. Well, then get your ass out there and build yourself something, okay? Um, but they'd rather be signed and commit crimes, and then when the shit hit the fan, God is telling me, bro, I've been feeding you, bro. 'Cause, I got a family. I gotta make this money. Bro, you need to go do that time for me, and they go do. As a lawyer, you sitting up with a woman and children, you a grown ass man, and you let another man tell you your life ain't worth shit. You go do the time because I got my kids. I got to make this money. I'll take care of you while you in jail. So you leave your woman and your kids because your loyalty is to another man. And you got a bunch of men doing that, which is I never understood that. See, I don't like it when I get on here and tell the truth because a lot of these men are chauvinists. A lot of them feel like women are supposed to be subservient to them. They want to try to dog women out, which is why they fucks with me, and which is why I put the police on them because I want to cause them as much harm and discomfort as I can, bitch. If you come over here fucking with me, okay? But it's a darn shame. And so those men that get out there and they work hard and they may not have a lot, but they are real men and they build it. They work hard. They be out there working all day. They constantly got 2, 3 hustles. And they ain't hurting nobody else. They just got hustle. Huh? He sweeping the street, but bitch, he working though. He that woman know when he walk in the house, when Tyrone walk up in here, he gonna make some shit happen. It's gonna be food on that table. I don't care if he is out there sweeping the streets. Okay? He got 2, 3 hustles. He make things happen for his family because he got to be there for his family. He ain't no puppy for no other man. And then I got to be loyal. How about being loyal to your kids when you get out? Yo, God, it took care of me while I was in jail. Your woman done remarried and you got grandkids. They looking at you all upside your head. I wouldn't have no respect for you either. You choose another man over your family so he can be out with his family. Okay? You let your kids grow up without you in the house with another man because you got to be loyal to your goddess so that they can be out with their kids. They can play big shot with theirs. I ain't never in my life seen the like before. Okay? And so the streets dead. And so it bothers me when I see these old Negroes. Anytime you in your 30s, you old. You getting you rusty. In a house that was built 30 years ago, rusty. You old and rusty, and you stupid. Okay. And so what they doing is they sending a message, the wrong message to these young dudes because number one, it's a manipulation tactic. These young dudes want to be accepted. They ain't got no father figures. That's another thing. These men need to get their sons and their daughters, teach these girls how to be loved. I was looking at and let me say this, and I'm gonna talk about how these men need to teach their young girls love. Um, it's manipulation tactic because these old Negroes don't want to go do their own time. So they'll tell these young brothers, bro, you know that you ain't gonna hardly get no time. You young and you can't snitch. So they can go do the time because they old rusted ass don't too scared to go sit in jail. So they want to ruin somebody's child, and that's the reason why God is whooping their asses cat raggedy. Okay, the men are supposed to be leading the community. All right, and unfortunately, because some of them are so jacked up, they put us in a position where we have to. Okay, because it ain't nowhere in the world you sitting up talking about snitching is the worst thing in the world. When I would think that, and I ain't gonna say no, I know he raping the little girl, man. He raped my little cousin, but I ain't no snitch. How can we depend on some like you? You let a rapist walk the street because you talking about a street code, and I'm glad the streets is dead. They making an ass out of these damn fools, and these ones like Gucci Mane, they getting their money and they moving on. Okay, and I'm glad the crowd is accepting him like that. Okay, because he getting his money. And he ain't studying them, ain't responding, ain't studying them. Put out a song, Crash Dummy, made money off of that too. Let them know you a damn fool. Okay? But these men need to start loving on their daughters instead of mistreating their mamas. A lot of these girls accept anything because they didn't have, they ain't got nobody to love them. You know, I was looking at I do some volunteer work for um DCS, okay? Whereas like when kids have been put in foster care, I volunteer once a month. I take a case once a month where I go out and I make sure the child is, you know, the home that they've been placed in is, I make sure the child is okay. Talk to the child, talk to the foster parent and all of that. It warms my heart to do that. Okay, it warms my heart. But it's also hurtful. Okay, but it's so many young women. I was looking at this this old documentary that came on HBO a long time ago. It was called Hookers at West Point or something like that. And there was this pretty girl on there. At the this came on like in 90. Okay. And there was a pretty girl on there. She was talking about she had a pimp and how, you know, the pimp, you know, he was like, he wanted me to come and work for him. And that night he cooked me a steak and all of that. And he was like, oh, he was just so happy that I came and I was with him. Okay. And it's so sad that women feel like some young girls and women feel like that a man, you know, giving them a steak, something they can go in the store and buy for themselves, they would sell their precious body for them. Okay. And that's because and you could tell she was loving the attention. And a lot of these women come from broken homes. Okay. That's why when these bitches was lying on me, I told them, well, she give her body to everybody, use a motherfucking lie, bitch. Because if I was gonna give, I would never give nothing away. I know my value. I'd sell it and I'd be a rich bitch. Okay. That's if I was gonna be like that. But I was taught to respect myself. Okay. I was taught to respect myself because I grew up in a home where there was love. Okay. My daddy and my mom and my grandmama gave me everything I wanted. Even when we was living in the projects. Okay. I got everything I wanted. I was oftentimes the first in the projects to have it. That's why all the kids stayed at my house. Okay. And I'm not saying giving your child things is love, but I've always been used to stuff and I was always taught to work hard. And it's so unfortunate that these children are growing up in dysfunctional homes and you ain't got grandmamas like Dolph and them had when your parents get on crack when they brought the epidemic in our communities in the 80s. You had grandmama that could take over and still raise them up to be decent. Okay. Now grandmama, like I always say, mama 13, grandmama 21, and great grandmama 33. Everybody's screwed up. Okay. And so these kids ain't got nobody. And that's the reason why I do a lot of volunteer stuff that I don't say anything about because I have a a bleeding heart for children and for elders. And I think that's why when people come to me and I feel like they want help, that's where I have gotten cut the most, right? Because I was always taught when you help people, okay, if you want to feel good, go help somebody that's less fortunate. Or if you're feeling bad, get out there and go take some food and stuff. Go put coffee and stuff on the bench for the homeless people, and that'll raise your spirits, okay? And so I've gotten cut a lot helping people who I go, oh my God, it's okay to help, and not feeling like they need to give me anything back. But I was always taught, that's another story, okay? Right? But it's a lot of children out here that's messed up. A lot of young men hate women because they see how their fathers dog out their mothers, okay? They want to help their mothers. Their fathers have put a lot of fear in them. Who was I talking to recently? I was talking to them about um, a child that was in the house with them. And it was when the man started dating a woman, the boy was about 13. And as the boy got older, he started to get real tall. So that man started trying to put a lot of fear in that boy. Oftentimes, men would do it when they are abusive, okay? Because he was afraid that that boy was going to rise up and cut the shit out of him for putting his hands on his mama. So they'll start trying to dog out that boy. And then after a while, when they get scared of that boy and they want to be beating on that woman in peace, they will convince her to put the boy out so he can whoop her ass in peace. Okay? But a lot of these boys have a lot of anger in them because even when they're like young, they because men are protectors and hunters by nature. That's why I don't understand these sisters now feeling like women supposed to provide for them. Okay? Even when they're young, you see them trying to protect their mama. Their mama don't tell them that. It's just in them because that's how God made them. And so when you got an abusive man in the household and he constantly putting his hands on his mama, it does something to him mentally and emotionally. And after a while, he'll become mad at his mama for subjecting him to all of that paranoia and fear that the man trying to put on the inside of him, so he can make sure he don't whoop his ass one day or shoot him one day when he whooping on his mama. Okay, a lot of these men gonna have to pay for what they do to these women. Okay, a lot of them are abusive and they feel like that they are supposed to be abusive. It's a lot of women too, but it's a lot of men that are abusive, and they carry that on. That's the reason why I go as hard as I go on the internet, because a lot of men don't respect women. That's why they want to fuck with me, because they don't like strong minded women. Okay, that's why they'll lie on you. She tried to give me some money. Use a motherfucking lie, bitch. That's what your mentally ill mind told you. That's probably what in your dreams. So they'll lie on you. They'll try to mess with you, because that's why I put the police on them, because I've taken so many classes. I know I know it's not normal, and it takes nothing but the police. Okay, you have to start documenting. I've taken so many and gotten so many certifications in this type of stuff. I know when a man is abusive and ain't right and they hate women. Okay, because it's not normal for a man to constantly come, you don't want to come at women that they don't even know anything about, right? It's just a history of it, so you have to put an end to it, right? But these men who are supposed to be the heads of their household, right, they're gonna have to start reeling themselves back in. I don't care if you've been out in the street when you're young. You're never too old to start. Just go to your kids and apologize to them and start imparting things into them that you might didn't do because you was in the streets when you were younger. Let your child know. Your daughter might be 30 years old and she been making bad decisions, but get in her life now, even if you're 50 or 60. Start letting her know you love her and teaching her the game, and watch her see, don't your daughter start turning her life around. Just because you missed out when you were younger, hey, that's a bad thing, but start doing something now. Get into your grandkids' life. Let them know you love them, and watch and see, don't your kids start making better decisions. Some kids feel like that they're not wanted. 30 and 35 years old, I wasn't wanted. Don't know that they daddy really love them, just was out in the streets. And then now to shame, can't even look at them because they miss so much of their life. These men don't understand that their kids need them, okay? And the women need to get past the hurt. Get you some counseling, of some psychological help. And if the man has changed his life around, and stop imparting that your dad don't care nothing about you. Stop telling these kids. I would never tell my kids that their dad didn't love them, because all it do is create anger, even if they ain't doing right. That's something you should never tell your children, that their own parent don't love them, because they'll feel like I ain't even worthy of no love. Then if my own mama or daddy don't love me. But I'm glad that this stuff is starting to die out in the streets. Okay, I gotta go ahead and give it to the boys, okay? Because I was looking at where Patel shut down some stuff as it relates to fraud. Y'all, if it was ever a chance, if it was ever a time to start reporting fraud, insurance fraud, you got people, because you got a lot of rats now that's getting into the medical field, that is they got insurance, they're getting insurance licenses, and they are getting a hold to people's medical information, which is against the law federally. You got people that's selling information, getting a hold to information and selling it to their scamming ass friends, and they're selling it to the foreigners. If there was ever a time to get their licenses taken, they could never work in the medical field again, and they'll be charged federally, and you file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Now is the time to reach out to the FBI. We have so much shit to come across our desk. I don't know what is going on, but that FBI guy, Patel, and I'm sure it is led by Trump. He's not playing as it relates to fraud. Okay, especially in the medical field. Okay. So now would be the time. But anyways, you guys, I know I got into a plethora of things, but I saw that. And so y'all know Poohshiesty is supposed to go to Poohshiesty is supposed to go to trial. Okay. And he's supposed to go to trial in June, and I'm sure they requested, filed a motion for a speedy trial and all of that, and which is a good thing. I guess for Pooh Shiesty. I hope that if Pooh Shiesty gets off with this, because I don't want to see. I feel like Pooh did a stupid thing, but at least Pooh didn't kill Gucci. It never should have happened though. Um, maybe you should do a couple years or something like that, but I don't want to see Pooh Shiesty do life. Okay. I wish that Pooh had not done this. He might get off. But if he gets off, I pray to God nobody gasses him up to start putting out songs talking about F the feds I did, because they're gonna come, they're gonna light him up again. Okay, they're gonna watch him, and Pooh is institutionalized. I don't think that he can get back out and not get caught up. They'll watch him for years until he do something and get him again. So I think, and he's so young though. But I mean, anytime you got your parent with you, and they're egging you on, and I don't know what kind of world we living in now, but that's what I was just talking about with parents, because there's no way in the world that Pooh's father should have been there with him and not stop that. Okay, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about right there when I say old fools. Okay. But anyways, you guys, the streets is dead. That street code stuff, and it's just not conducive to anybody's livelihood these days to be living by the street code. Okay. Um, and I'm glad that they have made it like that. okay? Because they giving you football field numbers. All right, when if you think that you're going to do something like that, and so I wish that they would stop pushing that to these young dudes and messing their lives up. But hopefully, these young people watching that. I know they thought they was gonna stop Gucci, make Gucci shame and talking about he was snitching. Anybody would have did that. Gucci is a businessman. Did your guy to think he was gonna send Pooh out to go over there and make Gucci sign something, and then he get the chance to sign Pooh and not say nothing because of a street code? Okay, that was a big epic fail. Okay, um, anybody would have did what Pooh did. I think that Pooh got off easily because anybody else probably would have killed him. All right, so anyways, you guys, I just wanted to get on here and talk about that. I might try to do a live. Well, today is my mom's birthday, so I don't know if I'm gonna try to do a couple more pre-recorded videos taking my mother to a beautiful restaurant today, and we're giving her. My sister got that money box, and we're all giving her. I don't think she's gonna be looking at this video. We all giving her $250 a piece, so it's four of us, so she's gonna be very happy. And we decided to combine Mother's Day and her birthday together. So for her birthday, we're giving her the money box and we're paying her taxes on her house. So she's gonna be very, 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 very happy about that. So um happy birthday to my wonderful mother who is a praying warrior, who is I gotta take a few minutes to brag on my mother, and I don't want to get emotional. I know I talk about my dad all the time, who was just a hardcore businessman, right? My dad came from the streets of North Memphis and went all the way up to where he was. Okay, rubbed elbow with some of the top people and was elected in his position more times than anybody ever in that position. All right. That's the reason why I know it could be lonely at the top, because I had a winner. I was close to one, and my dad fought all the time, even with people around him that was grinning in his face, stabbing him in his back. And I don't want to get emotional, but back to my mother. My mother is a praying warrior. She's very quiet. She is not judgmental. She ain't gonna judge you. She's just very unassuming. And I don't know what kind of relationship she has with God. And I was talking to her about something the other day. And I was talking, and I was like, you don't. How come you don't ever say anything about that? She said, because I've already gone to God about it. She said, I've already gone to God about it. She said, I can't talk to you about that because then that takes me out of my energy. I'm in an energy where I'm expecting God to do something. And she used to always say that. She said, so I can't talk about it. I can't put my mouth on it because then I'm taking it out of God's hands. And I don't know what kind of relationship she got with God, but everything that she puts before God, I promise you, God handles. I never in my life I can remember when my mother was working on this job. And because all of the young people loved her so much, and my mama is somewhat, I guess I got a lot of her spirit. And I remember when my mother had hurt a leg, and so when she hurt her leg, she was hopping. She had a limp going in, and we was like, well, why don't you retire? You the supervisor, you need to retire. But the manager over her couldn't stand her. And so my mama, a country girl that came from the backwoods of Mississippi, didn't move up to Memphis until she was 13 years old, right? And so she was like, I came from nothing. And when I saw those girls coming in there and those young men were coming in there who was trying to do better, had never had a permanent job, and they would constantly be saying, Miss Ann, am I gonna get her a permanent? They had come through the temporary service, she said, and I felt an obligation because they had the upper management had their nose turned up at them, and they loved my mama so much. And she said they would be, Miss Ann, am I gonna get permanent? She said, and what they would want to do is they would want to work them for 11 months. because after a year, you're supposed to hire them permanent and then lay them off. And then a month or two later, call them, have the temporary service to call them back just so that they didn't have to give them insurance and stuff. She said, and so she started working to make sure that they was hired permanent. And I remember when my mama was limping one day going up in there. And me and my sister was like, it's time for you to go on and just go on and retire. She said, well, we just had another batch to come in and they work so good. And I'm going to retire, but I'm going to make sure that they get in permanent. The manager, he was so low down. He was dogging her out. He would tell her, you can't sit down. Because, they would be, Miss Ann, sit down, sit down. She said the kids, the younger adults didn't want her to work because she, to stand up because they saw her leg was messed up. The manager, he wanted to make her retire sooner. I was so mad. My mom would come home crying sometimes. And I remember I reached out to him on Facebook. I found him and I requested his Facebook request because he was going to get cussed out. Okay. But I'm going to tell you how good God is. My mama said, that's all right. My mama, the last batch, she made sure they got hired permanently and she retired because he made sure he was going to push her to retire. And so my mama would never talk about it. She said, well, I put him in the hands of God. And I promised to God, probably about a year or so after that, one of the young ladies called my mama and said, Miss Ann, guess what happened? They fired him. They walked him out. I don't know what type of relationship. All I know is she got a direct connection to God, okay? And I've never in my life seen anybody mistreat her or her go before the throne of grace for nothing. And it did not come to pass. That's why I say you have to be very careful who you mess with because you don't know their spiritual ranking as it relates to God. You don't know their ranking in the spiritual realm. So you have to be very, very careful. But it's my mother's birthday. And so we're doing all those good things for her. And we're taking her to Chicago. Okay. Because she was like, I haven't been on a flight since I was a little girl. Y'all just go on and go. I'm not gonna go because her leg is messed up. And what she don't know is that because she was like, I'm not gonna be able to walk around Chicago. But my sister was like, well, you know what? Why don't we just buy her a wheelchair and we could just push her. And we've gotten her a flight. Okay, because my kids, I'm not gonna tell y'all we're going to Chicago for it was my kids' idea, but we're gonna have a very good time, and it'll be her first time in Chicago, her first flight since she was 7 years old. So we love our mama. It's good to celebrate your mothers because my mama definitely prays for me. Whenever I am overworked and mentally and emotionally, she could tell, she'll say, you don't sound right. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. It's something going on with you. You're doing too much. And she'll just stop. Wait a minute. We're not getting off of this phone until we pray. And it's almost like when my mother started praying for me, even though I know how to pray, it's almost like there's a release. I could feel a release, and I just know everything gonna be okay. My mama gets up at 5 o'clock every morning, especially when there is trouble. She'll say there is trouble. She get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and she'll go to the end of her bed, to the foot of her bed, and sit in her chair, open up her Bible, and she just goes into the spiritual realm for an hour. Okay, so that is a praying woman, and she deserves to be celebrated. Okay, so y'all, shout out to my mama. Today is her birthday. I get emotional when I think about my mama. But I want you all to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you could definitely support the channel via Cash App.